Hi there, we are Chris and
Mary.
Conrad, and it's great to be with you this afternoon in this kind of setting. And we're just going to have some fun for a few minutes talking about marriage and relational health and that kind of stuff. I think I know that we would both agree that the thing that you have to have, what we have to have, the elements that are key, if we're going to make the biggest impact over the longest period of time, is to make sure that we're focused on three things. Number one, that the health of our soul and our relationship with Jesus Christ. Number two, the health of our physical bodies, how are they doing? And third, the health of our relationship with other people.
Those closest to you.
Closest to us. So yeah, matter of fact, someone has said that success is that those who are closest to us would love and respect us the most. And so we want to make sure that we're focused in on that. But for the first 8 years of our marriage, I was much more focused in on the success of ministry as opposed to the success of our marriage.
Right. So we got to about 8 years and realized that our ministry was awesome. It was all charts up. The ministry was soaring, but our marriage was sinking. And we had to get honest with each other and say, this is not an option for us. And so we did what
we had to do at that point.
Yeah, which was take a 3-week sabbatical. And for us, we knew that the best Christian counselor that we knew of was 1,500 miles away from where we were living. And so we took those 3 weeks and we spent most of our time in her office and allowed her to speak the truth and love into our lives. And we walked away from that. Still to this day, we refer to the notes from that time.
And that was like 13 years ago.
Right.
For
when
us.
We say, okay, things are getting a little off, like what are we missing?
Right.
And because we learned so much from that.
Now that probably sounds a bit radical for some of you. You're thinking, wait, 3 weeks away from ministry? And that's what we did. And we were in a church plant, and we took 3 weeks away from ministry and went 1,500 miles away. Part of that is because we had to find the right Christian counselor for us. What we have found is, we had already gone to see a couple of Christian counselors that,
locally, it didn't work for us, but hopefully for you, they're right around the corner.
Exactly. But for us, they were 1,500 miles away. So all we're saying there is do whatever it takes to invest into your relationship. And so here's the deal. It all comes down to a lifestyle pattern that works right for you and living that out. So for instance, for me, let's talk first about soul health. For me and my soul health, that means spending time with the Lord every morning. I start off my day reading the Word, and not for sermon prep, nothing like that, just to allow the Word to transform my heart and my spirit and my soul. I start by just saying, God, would you make me into the person you want me to be? And so I spend time there.
I do too, just in a different way. I have my own spiritual.
Yeah, and by the way, people talk about doing couple devotions, and those are great. But they're not so much for us.
Well, no, because it turns into a sermon. Like, he wants to pontificate on said passage. So anyway, I find I do well with God and me all by myself. Okay, carry on.
Exactly. But we pray together.
We do pray together.
We pray together, and that's how we connect with each other, which is an awesome thing. So the first thing is your own soul's development and health. The second thing is your physical health. And so for me, that means exercising 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, running. I've become this runaholic, and I enjoy it very much. It might mean eating right, which is what Mary does. She eats right, which is so good because I need that influence in my life. And the third thing then is the right rhythm for your family. Now, for each family, it's going to be different. For us, what we have found is that if I've got a meeting at night, then I try and spend either that morning or the next morning with the girls.
That's right.
Is that fair?
Uh-huh. And then our children are young, and so they go to bed at 7:30 at night. So we find that for us, what works best is for Chris to be home, if he can, by 4:30 in the evening. And that gives us a few hours to spend together as a family. And we all know that ministry happens, and so we're not militant about that.
Right.
But as much as we can, we keep that a priority so that when he gets a call in the afternoon someday and somebody needs him and they've called an emergency board meeting or whatever and he needs to go tend to that we're not cheating our family. We can do that. And so sometimes that means, load the kids up and go have a quick dinner with him before he heads off or
just ebb and flow. But I think what it comes down to is just having the intentionality that says we're going to make sure that our family is a priority to us and making sure that we're giving effort to that. And I think that's what we're saying, is just making sure that you're giving effort to that. And then, for instance, once the girls are in bed, then Mary and I will take an hour and we'll make sure we're connected, that we are connected together as a couple. And then after that, I might scoot into my office that I have in my home and work on email.
You might.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so he does.
I do. But
I'll speak the truth in love.
But that's after.
That's good. But it's after we've spent time with our family, we've spent time together, connecting, just talking about our days, going over what's going on in our lives, conversations we've had that day, and things.
So here's the deal. In closing, we would just encourage you to maybe take out a little, pad of paper or something and rate yourself. Rate how is that going? Number one, how's the health of your soul? Are you spending time intimately with Jesus? Are you growing that relationship with Jesus? Right? And which we're both doing. Then number two, are you giving yourself to physical health? Are you doing something that physically helps you? And all I would say, for what it's worth, for those of you who've known me for a long, long time, that I didn't used to do that. And so the Lord has really helped me. And if you think that you can't be helped in that way, I would tell you that the Lord's really helped me in that area. And finally, the Lord has helped both of us. I needed more work than she did, but the Lord has helped us in the area of relational health as well. So that our relationship, so just ask yourself, how am I doing in those 3 areas? How's the soul doing? How is my physical body health doing? And finally, how is my relationship with those around me? Does my spouse still love me? Do my kids still love me? How is that going?
Well, and I think really an honest evaluation, and sometimes that means asking your spouse, asking your children, to be honest with you about how they feel you're doing. How are you investing in those relationships?
And we're praying that as you do that you'll see health in all 3 of those areas and that God will be able to bless you and your ministry. Thanks a lot.